he take a knee. You need to lose like 10-8 that round at least, no? And plus the corner go up and put a towel in the face. That's disqualification for sure. I'm talking about the rules, but
Lamont Roach Jr. has officially appealed the controversial decision after his fight against Gervonta Davis ended in a shocking majority draw. The dispute centers around round 9, where Davis took a knee, an uncalled knockdown that could have changed everything. But the drama didn't stop there. The WBA initially released a statement supporting the decision that Davis's knee wasn't a knockdown, but later take it down.
Put the grease on.
Okay. So the WBA made a statement this morning agreeing with the ruling of it not being a knockdown. But then they immediately retract the statement. If you go to their website right now where that statement was made, and I've gone everywhere, hitting the link back to that article where they made that original statement, the article is gone and they retracted it. The question is, why?
The statement was removed from their website, and every link leading to it now leads nowhere. This sudden retraction has only deepened the controversy, raising concerns about the transparency of the ruling. The decision, once defended, now seems uncertain, leaving many to wonder what led to the WBA's abrupt reversal. The controversy only intensified when Lamont Roach Jr. himself spoke out, revealing what happened in the ring. According to him, the referee initially began counting after Davis went down, but then abruptly stopped. He stated, "It should have been a knockdown one, so that's why I'm yelling at the referee, like, keep counting, like, you tripping, keep counting, that's a knockdown, because if y'all didn't notice, he started the count, he did cut it, and then he stopped." Roach's frustration was clear, and his words only added weight to the claims that something wasn't right. If the referee started counting, that means he recognized the knockdown, so why did he stop? This moment could have changed the entire fight, but instead, it was ignored. Now, with an appeal in motion and the WBA's retraction raising even more questions, the battle outside the ring is just beginning. Lamont Roach Jr. didn't just challenge the missed knockdown, he also questioned the overall scoring of the fight. After a performance that many believed was enough to secure a win, Roach reflected on how the judges might have been scoring the rounds. With the fight ending in a controversial majority draw, he was left wondering whether his aggressive approach was properly recognized.
I thought I was winning rounds too.
Yeah.
I wonder if they were giving. This is so, like the criteria for boxing. Okay, if a guy is coming forward, or if a guy is controlling the ring, or whatever the case may be, using ring generalship to box or anything like that, was he outboxing me? Was he using the ring to set me up with certain shots or anything like that? No. I was pressing the action. He was being cautious, and I was being cautious too. But I was pressing the action because I'm trying to score. I thought if I didn't score, that I wouldn't win the round. I tried to score. I was trying to score. I was landing. I wasn't landing. I was being active.
Roach emphasized that he was the one pressing the action throughout the fight. He questioned whether Davis was truly outboxing him or simply being cautious and picking his moments. In Roach's view, he was the one controlling the ring, pushing the pace, and trying to land shots, even if not all of them connected. He understood that activity matters in scoring, and he made a clear effort to stay busy. With the fight being so close, every round mattered, and Roach believed his effort should have been rewarded. Now, with the appeal already in motion, the debate isn't just about the knockdown, it's also about whether the right fighter was given the credit he deserved. As the debate over the missed knockdown rages on, boxing officials and experts have weighed in on what should have happened. The rules clearly state that a fighter is considered down if any part of their body other than their feet touches the canvas after a legal blow. In Davis's case, the way the rule was applied is now under serious scrutiny.
Do a little extra to maybe get the rounds. Those rounds that are kind of close, most of the times they go to the champion, especially somebody like Tank, you know, that's the superstar, the one that's doing millions just in the gate, doing great pay-per-view numbers. You know, that's the difference. But in a fair score, I thought he was in control. I thought Lamont Roach was in control and did his job and had a perfect game plan. And like I told him after the fight in the hotel, I told him, you surprised me and surprised the world, and you should have been champion. He should have walked out of the ring with that belt.
And Robert, I'll agree, but I'll push back a little bit. I don't think it's necessarily the champion. I think it's just the side that the politics want to win the fight. Because I always bring back my own experience.
Jack Rice, a highly respected referee, explained that when a fighter takes a knee, whether from a punch or by choice, it is generally ruled a knockdown. This practice, though not always explicitly written in the rules, is widely accepted in boxing. If Davis took a knee after being hit, it should have been counted. The fact that the referee started the count but stopped only adds to the confusion. With the controversy growing and more voices speaking out, the pressure is mounting for officials to explain what really happened. Eddie Hearn also weighed in on the controversy, adding his voice to the growing debate over the missed knockdown, with experts and fans alike arguing that a knee during active punches should be ruled a knockdown. The discussion has only intensified. The fact that the referee initially started a count but then stopped has left many questioning the consistency of the officiating.
You know what, honestly, I haven't watched the fight. We had a show that night. I haven't watched the full fight. One thing that's kind of baffling is that it wasn't a knockdown. I mean, look, he wasn't hurt. There's no doubt about that. But if you take a knee in the fight and you touch down, whilst punches are being thrown, it has to be a knockdown. I've heard some people saying, oh, that, you know, he should be disqualified. He went back to the corner. I don't buy that, to be honest with you. I mean, I think that's a warning. But it's a bit of a bizarre situation. For me, like, there was a lot of people in boxing.
Hearn, despite not watching the fight live, made it clear that the rule is straightforward. If a fighter takes a knee while under attack, it must be counted. He dismissed calls for a disqualification, but acknowledged the situation was bizarre. He also pointed out that many insiders believed Roach was a serious challenge for Davis, even if the fight lacked mainstream hype. Shakur Stevenson had even warned that Davis would struggle. And now, with the controversy stealing the spotlight, this moment could serve as a wake-up call for the undefeated star. Eddie Hearn's comments only added to the growing debate, but veteran boxing journalist Dan Rafael brought an entirely different perspective to the table. While most focused on whether the knee should have been ruled a knockdown, Rafael noticed something else happening in real time, something that could have changed everything.
Tank take none away, like they said he had a bad performance. I think Tank fought a good fight. He just was in there with a better guy that night. He did some great things in there as well, but we offset it with what we were doing, you know what I'm saying? He didn't do nothing that we didn't expect.
Yeah. Robert, I want to bring you in and ask you this question about, from the outside as a trainer, that idea of if I stay in the right range, if I stay in the right frame of mind, which Lamont did, he'll unravel after a while because he's used to physically overpowering guys. Is that what you saw in the fight yourself?
Look, that's exactly what happened. You know, he's in the ring in every one of his fights, and he's dominating.
As Davis took the knee, Rafael's attention shifted to the corner, where his trainer, Calvin Ford, stepped onto the ring apron holding a white towel. In boxing, that's a universal signal of surrender, a trainer preparing to stop the fight. With over 25 years of experience covering the sport, Rafael has seen this scenario play out countless times. For a moment, he believed Davis's team was about to throw in the towel and end the fight. Instead, the moment passed, and the fight continued, but the lingering question remains: was Davis on the verge of being pulled out before the controversy took over?
A better man than him, and he kind of also lost it a little, you know, where he found a little bit of, you know, taking the knee and all that. It was because he was frustrated. There's no other question that's what happened. He was frustrated. He was in there with a better man, and, you know, that's what we got the fight. That's what we got.
What I'm curious, we will get into the controversy in just a moment. Right before that, I gotta ask, just like Champ wanted to know, and Apollo, I know you want to know, what were you guys?
What were you saying? And
what was the trash talk in there? Because you were answering right back. You're both from the same place, both from DC. You fought as amateurs. Was there a little? You're not gonna scare me. You're not gonna, intimidate me. I see the smile on your face. What was going on in the ring? What was being said, man?
He was like, if I hit him with a little jab or whatever the case, oh, that ain't nothing. Or if he hit me, or if I block a shot, I was like, oh, too slow. Or, you know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. Like, I'm like, it's okay.
Steve, what was he saying to the referee?
Oh, when I said to Steve?
No, what was he saying? He was
talking to the ref the whole time, too. Yeah.
Oh, so all right, so one time, when I hit him on the break, he was like, get out of there. He said, stop holding. As soon as he said, stop holding, I punched him.
According to Raphael, referee Steve Willis initially ruled it a knockdown, sending Roach to a neutral corner and picking up the count from the timekeeper. However, as Davis remained in his corner, his trainer Calvin Ford stepped onto the ring apron, violating the rules. In professional boxing, a coach is not allowed to stand or interact with the fighter until the round ends. Raphael noted that this could have resulted in a point deduction or even disqualification. The sequence of mistakes, from the inconsistent officiating to the rule violations in Davis's corner, only fueled the controversy. What should have been a clear call turned into a moment of confusion, leaving the fight result under heavy scrutiny. Dan Raphael broke it down even further, pointing out multiple rule violations that went completely unpunished. Beyond the missed knockdown and the issues with Davis's corner, Raphael highlighted another major problem: Davis's own actions inside the ring. In a situation that should have resulted in penalties, the referee let everything slide, leaving many questioning the fairness of the officiating.
Furthermore, Gervonta Davis turned his back, which is abandoning the fight, stuck his head out of the ring, actually between the ropes. Can't do that either. That could have been a point deduction. Then the referee was walking over to him, and Calvin Ford is toweling him off. Also, you can't be touching the fighter and giving advice during the round. There were so many opportunities for Gervonta Davis to be penalized in that instance. Steve Willis could have called a knockdown or continued to call the knockdown, could have taken a point or even a DQ for all the things I just described. He did none of it. He didn't take anything away from Gervonta Davis, and it was unfortunate because Lamont Roach should have had a knockdown.
Raphael explained that Davis turned his back, which is considered abandoning the fight, a clear rules violation. He even stuck his head between the ropes, another action that could have led to a point deduction. Meanwhile, his trainer, Calvin Ford, continued toweling him off and giving instructions, which is strictly forbidden during an active round. Despite all these infractions, referee Steve Willis didn't issue a knockdown, take a point, or even warn Davis. Raphael made it clear, Roach should have been awarded a knockdown and Davis should have faced consequences. Instead, the moment passed without penalty, further fueling the controversy that now surrounds this fight. Dan Raphael expressed his final thoughts on the controversy with absolute confidence. After breaking down the errors made by the referee and the rule violations that went unpunished, he left no room for debate. This was a knockdown, plain and simple. With so much footage and expert analysis proving the point, Raphael questioned why the officials refused to make the right call. He stated, "I guarantee you that we've all seen tens if not hundreds of thousands of boxing matches. That's a knockdown, end of story." For Raphael, this wasn't just an opinion, it was a fact backed by decades of boxing history. A punch was thrown, it landed, and Davis took a knee. That meets every requirement for a knockdown under the rules. The referee initially recognized it by beginning the count, but then, for reasons still unclear, he stopped. In any other fight, the call would have been automatic, but this time, it was ignored, leaving Roach at an unfair disadvantage. He stated, "Punch thrown, jab lands, doesn't matter how hard it was, man takes a knee. I don't know what else there is to call a knockdown on. That's a knockdown, end of story." Raphael's frustration was clear. There was no excuse for the mistake. The power of the punch didn't matter. The only thing that mattered was the fact that Davis touched the canvas after a legal strike. The fact that this call wasn't made has now turned what should have been a straightforward ruling into one of boxing's biggest recent controversies. With an appeal in motion and growing pressure from the boxing community, many are waiting to see if justice will finally be served. As the controversy continues to gain momentum, more voices from the boxing world have weighed in, further solidifying the argument that the missed knockdown was a critical mistake. Stephen Breadman Edwards, a respected trainer and boxing analyst, shared his thoughts on the incident, offering yet another perspective on what unfolded in the ring. His analysis only adds to the growing frustration over how the fight was officiated.
I thought it was a knockdown. I looked at it. Obviously, I was at the fight, but I was watching the fight on my phone, actually, because I was in the hospital. I was trying to figure out what punch landed to make him take a knee, to be totally honest. I couldn't tell whether it was the right hand or the jab, but when he took the knee and he started pointing to his eye and he went over to his corner, what confused me was Steve started counting. He actually started counting and then stopped himself. I don't know if somebody told him to stop or he just checked himself. It was a very confusing moment, but unfortunately referees get paid to make split decision calls like that. That's, it's a tough job, but that's the job that they have. And I thought it personally was a knockdown. I don't know what else to say. I thought it was a knockdown, and I just didn't understand the stopping and the starting of the count.
Edwards, who was watching the fight on his phone while at the hospital, admitted that he couldn't immediately tell which punch caused Davis to take a knee. However, what stood out to him was the referee's reaction. Steve Willis clearly started the count before suddenly stopping. Whether he second-guessed himself or was influenced by something else, the decision created unnecessary confusion. Edwards acknowledged that referees have a tough job, but he also emphasized that making split-second calls is exactly what they are paid to do. In his eyes, this was a knockdown, and there was no reason for it to be ruled any differently. With so many experts echoing the same conclusion, the controversy is only growing louder. Stephen Breadman Edwards didn't stop there. After pointing out the referee's hesitation in calling the knockdown, he went even deeper into the inconsistencies of the moment. With years of experience in the sport, he understands that referees must make quick decisions. But in this case, the lack of clarity made the situation even more frustrating. The confusion wasn't just about the knockdown, it extended to how the entire moment was handled.
And I think Steve, I think he made a mistake. We all make them. I think he was making some. I don't know how much discretion you can use when the guy gets hit with a shot and then takes a knee and walks to his corner. I don't. And in New York, they're very strict. I'm in the locker room and they tell you, don't get out your seat. They even tell us that we're not allowed to stop the fight. That we have to contact the doctor or contact the referee, and the referee has to stop the fight. So, the corner getting out of their seats and things like that. It was just unfortunately, it was just a blown call from my perspective.
Edwards questioned why the count was started and then suddenly stopped, calling it a clear mistake by Steve Willis. While acknowledging that everyone makes errors, he pointed out that there's little room for discretion when a fighter takes a knee after getting hit. In a place like New York, where rules are strictly enforced, this kind of officiating mishap stands out even more. Edwards also highlighted another overlooked issue, Davis's corner getting out of their seats, which should not have been allowed. In New York, trainers aren't even permitted to stop the fight themselves. They must call on the doctor or referee to do so. From start to finish, he saw this as a blown call, further adding to the long list of controversies surrounding this fight. The former world champion Keith Thurman weighed in on the controversy, offering a more nuanced perspective on the situation. While many believe the missed knockdown was an obvious mistake, Thurman acknowledged that officiating is not always black and white. He pointed out that sometimes small details, like an outside factor affecting a fighter, can complicate what seems like a simple call. In a sport where fights are often won or lost by the slimmest of margins, one referee's decision can change everything.
I want to watch how it occurred, because technically when you take a knee, it's very unfortunate, but if there was some outside factor that did get into his eye, I don't know. You're walking on a gray line, and that's when things aren't necessarily black or white. So it's a tough call, and you don't want one little decision to change the whole fight. But in sports, sometimes it is one thing that a referee does or a judge does that determines who wins and loses. So luckily for him, he did not have such a scenario, because obviously the fight was close enough that if the point was deducted, he would have walked away not world champion. So I'm looking forward to looking back at all the drama.
Thurman admitted that taking a knee is typically ruled a knockdown, but he raised the question of whether something may have gotten into Davis's eye, which would make the moment less clear-cut. He described this as a gray area, where the rules aren't always as straightforward as they seem. Despite this, he recognized that in boxing, a single referee or judge's call can alter the outcome of a fight. If the knockdown had been counted and a point deducted, the fight could have ended with a different result. Luckily for Davis, the missed call didn't strip him of victory outright, but it undeniably played a role in shaping the fight. With the controversy still unresolved, Thurman, like many others, is closely following the fallout, eager to see if this decision will have any lasting consequences. George Kambosos added his thoughts on the fight, offering both praise for Lamont Roach and criticism of the controversial moment that changed everything. While the fight may not have been the most action-packed early on, Kambosos acknowledged that Roach's performance picked up as the rounds progressed. He was impressed by how Roach pushed Davis and proved many doubters wrong, but like many others, he couldn't ignore the missed knockdown that became the center of the controversy.
Docile and relaxed, and then the fight, especially at the start of it, wasn't too thrilling and too action-packed, so I was starting to doze off a little bit, but I woke up a little bit more when obviously Lamont started giving him some work, and he looked good, man. I got to give respect to Lamont Roach. He proved a lot of guys wrong. I think he shocked Tank a lot with what he was able to bring. And again, we saw the controversy with the knee. To me, that's a knockdown. You can't just take a knee and decide to, go to your corner and get your face wiped. So, yeah, if that's a 10-8 round, Lamont wins the fight. So it's, unfortunate, but that's the fight game, Hopefully they'll do it again and he gets paid, what he's worth.
Kambosos made it clear Davis taking a knee should have been ruled a knockdown. A fighter can't simply drop to a knee, head to the corner, and get wiped down as if nothing happened. If the knockdown had been counted, Roach would have won the round 10-8, which could have dramatically impacted the final decision. While he acknowledged that boxing is full of unfortunate moments like this, he hopes a rematch happens and that Roach is compensated properly for his efforts. With growing calls for the fight to be re-examined, the pressure on the officials and sanctioning bodies continues to mount. Virgil Ortiz Sr. weighed in on the controversy with an even stronger stance, arguing that the situation wasn't just a missed knockdown, it could have been grounds for disqualification. With so many voices already calling out the officiating, Ortiz took it a step further, comparing Davis's actions to moments in boxing where a fighter would normally face serious consequences. He didn't see any room for debate. Davis voluntarily took a knee after getting hit, and that should have resulted in an immediate ruling.
If it should have been a disqualification, if anything. You're going to the corner and being the corners. It's like this: when you get thrown out the ring, nobody's allowed to help you. Nobody can touch you. You get disqualified. It's almost the same thing. He voluntarily took a knee. That's right off the punch. It ain't like he got hit and 20 minutes later he ran around and then he got hit, just took a step back, took a knee. It's like a body shot. I'm not saying that that was like a body shot. I'm not saying he's hurt or anything, but
yeah, because he got hit with a jab.
You get hit with a body shot. The body shot. If you look at it, the delay is the same. The time wise. Yeah. You go back, you take a knee. It's the same thing. So. Regardless, I know he was saying something about he had grease in his. That's still there's unfortunately there's no excuse in boxing. This is probably the only sport that you can have broken hands and this and that, and you don't have an excuse, period.
Ortiz explained that when a fighter is knocked out of the ring, no one is allowed to help them. If they receive assistance, they are disqualified. In his view, Davis going to his corner mid-round and getting wiped down was nearly the same thing. He wasn't arguing that Davis was hurt, but he pointed out that the sequence resembled a delayed reaction to a body shot, a common scenario where fighters take a knee after impact. Regardless of the reasoning behind it, Ortiz was clear. There are no excuses in boxing. Rules are rules, and in his eyes, they weren't followed properly in this fight. With this perspective added to the ongoing debate, the calls for justice are only growing louder. Chris Algieri didn't hold back in his criticism of how the referee handled the situation. He was firm in his stance that Davis should have been penalized in some way, whether through a knockdown ruling, a point deduction, or even stronger action. In professional boxing, fighters can't take a knee without a count, turn their back on the fight, or walk to their corner during a round. Yet Davis did all three, and the referee let it slide.
Well, listen,
we're digging right in. We're not even
right in.
Knockdown or no knockdown, guys?
No question, you take a point. No question. I mean, you take a knee. You call a knockdown. Yeah. Correct. Yeah. Or it's some type of penalty. You can't turn your back. This is professional fighting. Yeah. This is not the amateurs. You can't take a knee. You can't speak to the ref. You can't turn your back.
Call your own timeout.
You can't walk to the corner and then have your cornerman come up onto the
that was big.
That was bad. Okay. So think about the infractions that happen here. Number one, you take a knee. It's a knockdown. Number two, you turn your back. The fight's over. You don't want to fight. Number three, your corner comes up on the ring apron, you get disqualified. So all three of those infractions happened all at once, and there was zero penalty. So, in short answer, absolutely knockdown.
Algieri broke it down clearly, pointing out that Davis committed multiple rule violations in a matter of seconds. He took a knee, which should have been counted, then turned away from Roach, which could have led to a penalty, and finally, his corner stepped onto the apron when they weren't supposed to. Any one of these actions could have resulted in a knockdown or a deduction, yet nothing was done. Algieri saw this as a major officiating failure that had a direct impact on the outcome of the fight. With so many errors left unchecked, the backlash surrounding the fight's result is only getting stronger. The controversy surrounding Gervonta Davis versus Lamont Roach Jr. has taken on a life of its own, with fighters, trainers, and analysts all weighing in. From the missed knockdown to Davis's questionable actions in the ring, one thing is clear: this fight was anything but straightforward. The referee's inconsistent decisions, the WBA WBA's sudden retraction of their statement and the overall scoring of the fight have left many fans and experts frustrated. At the heart of it all is the question of fairness. If the knockdown had been counted, if the referee had enforced the rules, or if the scoring had been different, would Roach have walked away as the rightful winner? These aren't just hypothetical questions. They are real concerns that are now fueling an official appeal. The debate isn't just about this one fight, it's about the integrity of boxing as a sport. When rules aren't applied consistently, it raises doubts about the entire system. So what do you think? Should Davis's knee have been ruled a knockdown? Did the referee make a critical mistake? Should there be a rematch to settle the controversy? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel and tune in for more videos like this.